way. But I'm going to record this video. I'm recording January the 3rd, if y'all are interested in that. I don't know when I'm going to post this video. I want to try to do it after I'm done with Joker, but most likely that's not happening. So, the way I'm going to... what am I saying? Let me give a few warnings. So, this story is going to be dark. Like, you know how Joker was kind of dark? You know how Panther was kind of dark? Yeah, this is on a different scale. Yeah. I had to go big with this one. I just really wanted to go in, especially on Scarecrow, because I do like Scarecrow a lot, even though, he's not, he is, like, a main villain, but, like, he's not one of the biggest out of them all. Like, I wouldn't say as many people like him compared to, like, Penguin or Two-Face and stuff like that, but, he's definitely not Joker level or anything, but he for sure is, a good-ass villain. So this is What If Deku was Scarecrow, alright? It's gonna be dark. If you can't handle dark stories, yeah, sorry. Of course, there's gonna be some My Hero manga shit, I guess, but it's gonna mostly involve a certain character more than anyone, which we'll get to them later. And, yeah, hope you guys do enjoy this What If, alright? I did this, I talked to Usual about this. When me and Usual get together to make a What If idea, it's magic, alright? It's magic. But we took it on a darker scale today, so yeah. Now I'm gonna get into it. If you didn't like my tangent, sorry. If you do like my tangents, tell me. Tell me, like, hey, I want to hear you talk more. I'm sorry, it's late and my mind is wandering. But the way this story is gonna start out, Deku, like, we're gonna start this out, like, kind of late in, and then I'll explain the origin later on a bit more. So Deku is with his dad. It's still Hisashi, but his mom is a different person, which, we'll talk about later. So basically, like, he like, Deku, he's, with his mom and dad, his mother is pregnant with, another girl, or not another girl, but, another child. It's a girl. The mother is excited. The father, he seems a bit, like he looks excited, but, he's not really excited. So basically, like, she goes to the hospital to, give birth to her child, right? And, she's like, she gives birth to the child, the husband's there. It's still Hisashi, so I'm gonna say Hisashi. So Hisashi's still there with her, Deku, he's there, but he's not allowed in the room because, his mother is giving birth. So basically, she gives birth. Hisashi is like, oh, it's a girl, yada, yada, she's beautiful, all that stuff, right? But, like, how, like, after a woman gives birth to a child, she's stuck in the hospital for a little while. So basically, and at least where I'm from, you can't, like, stay in the hospital overnight, which is dumb to me. But, you can't stay in the hospital overnight, so he's not allowed to stay in overnight unless he's the husband and stuff like that, but he has to worry about Izuku. But basically, while, his wife can't move, while Deku's mom can't really leave or anything like that, he basically gets Deku and just, skips town and goes to America. He just leaves. He dips, but he takes Deku with him because, he just wants to bring Deku with him, I guess. So they go to Detroit. I'm joking. They go to some shithole, alright? I know I have someone. Now, I know for sure there's someone or a few people in Detroit who are like, hey, fuck you. Alright, listen, I've never been anywhere other than where I'm from, alright? I've been to, like, New York once. That was kind of cool. But it wasn't really, like, I didn't even leave the airport. I just saw the fucking Statue of Liberty. That's it. So, y'all airport is all the way out in the middle of nowhere, right? It would take us a 30-minute drive to get to a city. I was so pissed. I wanted to go explore New York, but I couldn't. But after that, basically, what's it called? Deku, he goes to somewhere in America. I'm not gonna specify where. Alright, there's a bunch of shitholes. Hell, I live in a shithole. Alright, but he basically lives in a shithole area, and his dad obviously, you know how the sad mopey thing goes. His quirk is dormant, so like he was told he was quirkless, which he's not obviously, but his dad thinks he's quirkless. So he's like, "Why did I even bring you, you useless brat?" He swings on Deku. Deku catches those hands. Deku gets beat like on a daily, and I'll explain why his quirk is dormant. So Deku, he gets beat like often, like a little too often for most. Like it's bad. And not only that, like Deku wants to leave. So like Deku gets to like a certain age. We'll say around 13, all right? So Deku like knows that he's from, he knows that he's from Japan, right? He knows that he's not from America, and he knows that, he knows that, like, his dad just dipped on his mom. He doesn't remember his mom, though, at all. He was told that he has a sister, but he doesn't remember her whatsoever. Like, he knows he has a mom. He knows that his mom was actually a good person, but he doesn't know who she is. He knows he had a sister, but he doesn't know who she is. And basically, Deku wants to get out of there. While Deku, like, his job options are super limited. And let's just say his dad made him do certain stuff for certain type of women who were into, younger men. Like, that's the best way I can put it. His dad made him do that so that he could get, profits. Because, some women are just into those kind of people. Like, some women just like those kind of guys. And, I mean, that's a crime. Like, but, yeah. They were just in a... Let me make sure that I'm actually having fucking audio. Okay, I was gonna riot if I didn't have any audio. But, what's it called? So, Deku, he's been, doing some unsavory things for, money, because what his dad thinks is that Deku's giving him all the profit, but Deku's actually just giving him like 40 to 50% of the profit. Usually around 50, because he doesn't want his dad to catch on, but he keeps like a good amount of the profit just to try to like get enough money to get out of America. So now I'll start explaining why Deku's quirk is dormant. So Deku's quirk is dormant because it relies on his fear. Like, he had, like how fear toxin, obviously, everyone knows. Like, if you're watching this, you know about fear toxin. I'll explain it still, though, for those who just like my content. I love you guys. But for those who need to understand, fear toxin, it just makes you, it's in the name. It makes you feel fear. But the way that I'm explaining Deku's ability with it, Deku's quirk, like, the fear toxin relies on the amount of fear that he's felt. So all the fear in his lifetime building up all, in his fear toxin. So imagine the life of a abused child at the age of 12 who has to do unsavory type of things for, certain type of people. Like, imagine all that fear of that child all bundled into one move. Like, that's basically what his fear toxin is. And like it can get very potent. Like, it's very bad if he wants it to be. But right now is like the activating stages of his quirk. So right now it's kind of affecting him. So like his dad, he's going to go beat Deku again, the Endeavor type of treatment, Let me pull out my belt. Fucking chosen weeb. But, I haven't talked to him in a bit. I need to catch up with him. But fucking Deku, he's about to get beat up by his dad again. But all of a sudden, he starts seeing, like, hallucinations of, like, scarecrow. Oh, fuck, YouTube. Alright. Yeah. I was watching YouTube videos a little bit ago. But what's it called? Deku gets visions of, like, this scarecrow, and like he starts seeing scarecrow, bats, all this stuff. Like he starts seeing, like, as a 12-year-old kid, a lot of things scare you. So he sees fucking scarecrow. Like his dad looks like a scarecrow with like a sickle pointing right at him, and and Deku's like, he's screaming like in pure fear, and this is adding on to his quirk like even more. Like the more he feels fear, the more fear like he can make. So this is just really making him way stronger. So Deku, he's just like, he's in complete and utter fear right now. His dad is wondering what the hell's going on, but he doesn't care. He just keeps beating Deku. And then it gets to the point where Deku is just like, he's scared out of his fucking mind. And we'll do a time skip to around when Deku's 14. So at this point, Deku realizes how to use his quirk. Like, Deku's trained with his quirk. He knows how to use it. He knows how to, like, set the percentage of fear and stuff like that. He basically has been testing it on animals and stuff. And Deku isn't dumb. By any means, he's very smart. Because if you don't know, Scarecrow is a chemist. Like, Scarecrow, obviously, he doesn't make the fear toxins naturally, unlike Deku does. But what's it called? Deku is a chemist because his quirk not only involves the fear toxin, but he can make any type of toxin mixed in with the fear toxin. So any type of poisons, any type of, like, all that type of shit. So he can basically imagine Momo's quirk on, like, creating things, but she has to know, like, the biological structure, not the biological, but the fucking atomic structure of it. I don't know how the fuck it's called. But, like, he needs to know the chemical basis of, like, basically the fog or the gas that he creates. And also, another thing that he realized about his quirk, which, he actually hasn't realized it just yet, but I'll still tell it to you guys. Basically, like, his mother's quirk is, what's it called? Is basically, like, is what causes the gas part of his quirk. But his dad's quirk, he basically has, like, these claws that he can stab into you and then inject fear. That's where the fear comes from. The fear doesn't come from his mother, which he has used the fear thing on Deku. The fear doesn't actually come from his mother's side. The gas does. But Deku is, like, a combination of both their quirks. So he can basically make that fear gas. But, like, the fear gas is basically, like, just the gas form of... Like, how do I explain this? Okay, he has claws, he can stab you, you get scared. It's like liquidated fear, while Deku can also make a gas, the gasated fear, which he can breathe out, he can shoot out from his arms. Basically, like, he can just shoot gas out of his body. Like, basically, that's the best way to put it. It's nasty, I know, but Deku, like, now that I've explained Deku's quirk, Deku's, like, now fully mastered his quirk, and his quirk is way more potent than his dad's. Because his dad does have the fear toxin, but not nearly to the level that Deku does. Because, for one, he isn't a chemist like Deku. For two, his dad doesn't know as much fear as Deku. And for three, quirks get stronger over age. So Deku is way stronger than his dad when it comes to quirks. And also, since, Deku gets beat on the daily, he's been learning, types of combat and stuff like that. Because, he wants to defend himself, for one. And for two, like, even though, like, yeah, he's 14 and he knows all this stuff, he's still 14. And his dad is a grown man. So you gotta think about this. And his dad does sit on his ass most of the time, but he does do hard work, too. So his dad is very strong. Even with, like, all this stuff that Deku has, it's not going to be easy. So Deku realizes this. He knows that, like, hey, if I try to fight my dad head on, I'm not fucking doing anything to him. Because, his dad he has tried to fight back against his dad, which, big mistake, because he got beat worse. But now, like, what he does is, basically, he gets, like, his claws out. And then his dad always is like, Zuko, bring me a beer, because, abusive fathers. Which, sorry, if anyone's, like, triggered by that slightly. I did warn you, this is darker. Deku, like, he basically extends his claws and then dips like a dumb amount of fear toxin inside, like fear like liquid inside of his dad's drink. Like half of it is actually beer, the other half is just fucking liquidated fear. But like Deku has a few methods as well. Like I haven't actually mentioned this, but Deku does have a few methods of coping with all this stuff. Like for one, he smokes. Like he already smokes, even though he's like 14. Yeah, but it basically calms his mind for him. Like I can't explain it. I don't smoke, but you know, he does it. Like my dad used to smoke, so I'm just using that as an example, and as well as I have friends like usual who smokes, but he basically smokes. But like a weird thing that he's noticed like recently, that whenever he smokes, fear toxin or fear gas comes out. Like not too much unless he lets it. Like usually he holds back the fear toxin whenever he smokes, but like if he lets it, just all fear toxin will come out, which will probably make it even more potent, but because it's a chemical mixture. But back to Deku, with his dad, he basically puts a dumb amount of fear toxin inside of his dad's drink. So his dad, he gives his dad the drink, and he's like, yeah, thanks, you little shit, yada yada yada, because he still doesn't know Deku has a quirk. So he drinks it, and immediately the fucking effects take hold. Like it's practically immediate, because Deku absolutely hates his dad with a passion, and I mean, like, it's nobody should hate like someone as bad as Deku hates his own dad. So like the amount of fear and amount of like anger inside of that toxin is just welling. So he just sees this guy in the photo, and it's Deku. Deku does have a sickle, because you remember he got scared by a scarecrow with a sickle. So he has a sickle because they live out in the farm, because, I can. So he has a sickle, he's walking over his dad. His dad is absolutely screaming, but they live out in the farm, so no one hears him. So, because now he has enough money, he basically murders his dad. Like, immediately, just fucking, he doesn't even, like, savor it or anything like that. He just murders the guy. Slits his throat, done. He drops his sickle. He, of course, wore gloves because he's not an idiot. He's a chemist. So, he murders his dad. Also, like, basically burns the body completely. Just, like, and then he buries the bones, but, like, he basically makes it look like he was also buried somewhere, but they don't know where. And then after that, Deku gets a plane ticket and goes to Japan. Actually, no, they know that Deku did it, but he flew off to Japan, so they can't really do too much. Like, I mean, they can be like, hey, we got this guy who murdered someone and then went to Japan, but, like, they still can't really do too much, because unless, Japan really finds them, which, even if they do find him, they can't arrest him. Like, laws are weird, especially like when you leave country, or when you leave like whatever the fuck. Whenever you leave the nation and like go somewhere else, laws can get weird. So I'm not even gonna try to get into that. But basically, like, it's gonna be way harder for America to get Deku for this. Like, way harder. So, Deku gets to Japan. He knows nobody. He doesn't remember his mom. He doesn't know his sister. He doesn't know anybody. So, he lives out in the streets. How long are we on right now? 18 minutes. I can extend this for way longer. Alright. So, Deku lives out on the streets. Like, he's basically a street thug for a while. Basically, but he does, like, vigilante work and stuff like that, because he still wants to be a hero. He was still inspired by heroes, but, he can't really, but he realizes, like, since he lived with his dad, that heroes don't kill, but, like, sometimes the villain is so bad that you need to be killed. Like, they need to be killed. Basically, the ideology that that a lot of people have when it comes to like heroes like Batman and stuff like that. Yeah, Batman is a great hero and all, but I mean, is he really that great of a hero if he chooses to save the life of Joker over life of millions? So basically, it's that argument. He believes that if a villain breaks out, then they deserve to die. like, depending on the crime that they committed, he'll kill a villain that he finds. So if he finds, like, a robber and stuff like that, he won't kill him. He'll make them experience fear, like nasty fucking fear, but he won't kill him. Basically, Deku, in his adventures of being a vigilante for a while, he runs into, another person who's also doing the same type of thing as him. So, like, the way that this happens, Deku's walking around, Deku's just walking around in an alley. He's looking around. He's in, like, the scarecrow outfit, because, like, he isn't, like, have the mask, but he has, like, the hood and stuff like that. So he's walking around, right? And then this person, mistakes him for a villain. So obviously they shoot a blast of blue flames at him. So, Deku turns real quick. He barely, it barely missed because this person's still new to it. So Deku turns real quick and, he looks over and sees this chick with, burn marks on her body. You already know, alright? So basically Deku's like, who are you? And she's like, what's it called? The name's Dobby, because you already know. She's like, the name's Dobby, I'm a vigilante and I'm here to stop you. And then Deku's like, okay, why are you after me then? She's a bit confused because, Deku's like, why are you after me? Because, she thinks that he's a villain because Deku did just walk away from, like, where a robbery just happened. Not because he did it, but because it legit happened as he was walking away. Which she blasted the guys, but Deku looked like he was getting away. So she's like, listen, I'm not gonna, mess around with a villain. Deku's like, I'm not a villain. I'm a vigilante. And she's like, yeah, sure, I believe that. Because at this point, before Stain, Dobby, I'm pretty sure, was a vigilante. And if not, I'm gonna say before Stain, Dobby was a vigilante. So basically, Deku's like, darn. So, he gets into a fight with Dobby. She's shooting, like, blue flames at him, which, they're still hot as a motherfucker. Because, cremation. Which Deku is like, okay. Like, he has to make sure that his gas doesn't get, like, pushed back. But, like, basically, you know how if you shoot spray at a fucking fire can, right? Basically, he has to make, like, a blast like that, but in a way that it will point back at her. So basically, like, when she's about to shoot a flame, he shoots a gas at her. So, like, she still has a flame in her hand, but, like, the flame hits her in the face because the gas was pointing it that way. And it went in at her, like, at a huge fucking rate. Basically, if you shoot a spray bottle at a lit flame. So, basically, she just got hit with fear flame, which sounds badass. So, basically, she's experiencing fear, which, manga spoilers, I guess, but it literally blew up. So, I mean, if you don't know, then sorry, what's it called? So, she's seeing Endeavor, and, he's being abusive, she's screaming out. Deku, he's like, she was trying to be a hero. So, he extends his claws, he stabs it into her neck. Not deep, like where I would, kill her or anything like that. And then he injects an antidote because obviously he'll find an antidote for his own thing since he's a chemist. So, she basically springs up. She's like, what the hell was that? Deku's like, hey, that was my quirk. She's like, she gets up, like, real quick. She's like, okay, why did you, let me out of it? Why didn't you just kill me? He's like, because I'm not a villain. I'm a vigilante. I said this before. He has gained the name Scarecrow because, what people see as a scarecrow. So basically, he's like, I'm the vigilante known as Scarecrow. Nice to meet you. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's like, oh, you're a scarecrow because, she is, at this point, new to being a vigilante while Deku's been here for a little while. So she's like, oh, you're a scarecrow, yada, yada, yada. I actually started being a vigilante because of you, yada, 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 stuff like that. He's like, really appreciated that stuff. They talk for a bit. And then, like, the police get there, and Deku's like, ooh, we need to go. So, she's like, yeah, and then they bolt out of there. Basically, they go to where Deku stays, which is, like, an abandoned warehouse, because, Deku's playing... Actually, no, an abandoned factory, because he can use the chemicals there. So basically, like, they go into Deku's old abandoned area because he's like, follow me. She follows, obviously, because that's her, one for one, a person who she looks up to as a vigilante. And then for two, basically, just, you're getting chased by the police. Obviously, you're going to just follow them. If they seem trustworthy, which she kind of trusts them. I don't know. She still doesn't fully trust them because, she's not dumb. Never meet your idols. Even me. Join the Discord. But basically, she follows him to the chemical lab. She's like, all right, appreciate, the save. Deku's like, no problem. They talk for a bit, then Deku's like, let me show you my lab. She's like, lab? Deku's like, yeah. So he walks into, like, this abandoned laboratory. And basically, it's like the basic lab. The lab where they have, like, chemicals, compounds, all that stuff. And, she's like, what the hell? And Deku's like, yep, all this stuff. He even shows her, like, this one vial. And she's like, what's that? He's like, this is a quirk enhancer. Which she's like, no way. Deku's like, yep. It's, basically, he basically has, like, all kinds of chemicals and stuff like that. He's like, yep, made this myself, Took me a little while. I could probably make about a gallon of it per 5 years. Like with my current resources, I could probably make a gallon of it, like, every 5 years. Which she's like, well, what are your resources? He's like, scraps, like, legitimately scraps of barely anything. Because, it's an abandoned factory. Which, like, we'll say, like, Nezu is, like, the smartest, right? Nezu is obviously, like, the smartest. But I'm going to basically take, like, Marvel type of logic. Basically, the way Marvel does it is Reed Richards, Fantastic Four, the leader of Fantastic Four. He's the smartest. But, like, Bruce Banner is the smartest in, like, bioengineering and biochemistry, and especially gamma. Basically, Nezu is the smartest, but, like, when Deku gets to a certain age, he'll be smarter than Nezu when it comes to fucking chemistry. Like, like, right now, Nezu's still smarter than him because, he's, like, 14, 15 right now? He's probably around 15 right now, since he's probably been around a vigilante for a year. So he's 15 right now. And, basically, Deku's like, yeah, I'm a pretty good chemist, so she's like, can you make something that could help me with, like, my quirk or something? Deku, he's like, your issue is what? So she explains, my body isn't meant for a flame quirk, it's meant for an ice quirk. So he's like, oh, okay, I think I could do something about that. Maybe, like, shit, like, it'll be difficult, but I could maybe do something about that. And she's like, oh, shit, really? No, because she didn't think that there was any sort of thing that they could do. Which, Deku, it's not really going to be, like, a permanent fix, because Deku can't change her genetic makeup, at least not in here, because for one, he's not a bio guy, he's more of a chemist, like I said. So he can make, like, chemicals that will, make her body a bit more immune to the flames and stuff like that. But her flames are super hot, so it's going to be difficult. Basically, Deku, he's like, alright, so is Dobby your actual name, or is it, like, a hidden name? She's like, no, it's not my actual name, but, I don't fully trust you enough yet to give you that. Deku's like, smart girl. Basically, she's like, we're about the same age. Don't treat me like I'm a kid. Deku's like, all right. Well, either way, do you got a base camp? She's like, no, not really. Because at this point, I'll say that she ran from Endeavor about a few months ago. So, if you know, you know. If you don't, sorry. Basically, like, she ran out from Endeavor a few years ago. Or not a few years ago, like a few months ago. So she still doesn't really have a base. She's more been, like, jumping from place to place. So Deku's like, you can just stay here for a while, or you can just stay here in general. Don't cause a mess, don't touch my chemicals, and we're good. Right? So she's like, appreciate it, stuff like that. So I'm going to end it off here. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If not, sorry. If you thought this was, too dark, sorry. I don't really stay in the origin for too long. I feel like I don't do that too long. But, if I do, if you think I should stay in the origin for longer, tell me. I'll try. It's just, I go through the origins pretty fast because I like to get into the actual main story. But, not like I ever finish my what ifs, am I right? Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.